Hello, Jacob here. And today I have a multi-part Minnesota Wild video to share with you. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So yeah, first and foremost, the NHL draft first round is tomorrow. So, don't really know a lot about the prospects or stuff like that, but kind of curious to see what the Wild end up doing there. Will they trade? Because they have two picks, don't forget. The Kevin Fiala traded pick, which is 19 overall, and the Minnesota Wild's actual, I believe, 20th or 24th pick, something like that. Somewhere around there, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Wild move. I wouldn't be surprised if the Wild trade down, trade up. Who knows? Drafts are very, very, very unpredictable. And yeah, so like I say, I might do a little bit of a recap on Friday or something like that. We'll just kind of see what ends up happening if anything major happens. And another thing that's been kind of circulating around the rumor mills, which there's something that could be pertaining to Kirill Kaprizov, but again, I'm not going to quite get into that necessarily at this point until it's actually true. Because I don't know the validity of all these rumors and stuff like that with Kirill and some potential legal issues or whatever the case might be, or if this is a Russian smear campaign. I really don't know. Then also it sounds like Guerin and Marc-Andre Fleury's camp are really, really trying to push the envelope here. So be curious to see if Guerin can get Flower back in Minnesota, or if Fleury decides to just go elsewhere. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised either way. So yeah, like I say, kind of stay tuned there. That's just kind of a little minor recap. Otherwise, not really a whole lot's been happening in the world of the Minnesota Wild. But now, on to the main part of this video. The 2022-23 schedule has just been released. So, go ahead and kind of give you a month-by-month breakdown and just kind of give you some overall general ideas of, how I feel about this team moving forward. Let's get into it, shall we? So, first and foremost, I'll go ahead and break down the preseason schedule. We start off on Sunday, September 25th, at home against the Colorado Avalanche at 3 p.m., and I believe that's going to be 3 p.m. Central Time. Then on the 27th, we go to Colorado, which I always found interesting when they go back-to-back. So, yeah, it'll be our first time taking on Colorado since they won the Stanley Cup this past year. Yeah, not going to lie, that playoff series was... Yeah, no. I didn't know who to root for there. Not fun. Not fun. But I digress. I mean, at least it was a good series overall, but again, congratulations to the Avs and the Avalanche fans, and well deserved. I mean, they were a big team this year. I mean, they did what they had to do. They finally got the darn thing done, which I think a lot of more neutral fans, I guess, were kind of hoping they do, just because, again, yeah, it was pretty much, either crap or get off the pot at this point with the core that they had. And also congratulations to Nico Sturm. Again, still miss him, I know I kind of said that with the last video too, so, but yeah, I mean, granted, it's only a preseason, back-to-back, but still. It'll be interesting to see, like all the prospects, the goalies, and stuff like that, and who we're going to get to fill Kevin Fiala's spot. So, there's definitely going to be some questions going into next season. But anyway, back to the preseason schedule. So, like I say, Sunday, September 25th, and Tuesday, September 27th, we take on the Colorado Avalanche, with the September 25th trip being at home, and the Tuesday trip being in Colorado. Then, on Thursday the 29th, we go to Dallas to take on the Stars. Yeah, I really don't know what to expect with Dallas, honestly, either. It's kind of a mixed bag with them, with whether they're going to be good, great, they're kind of all over the place. And like I say, they might have some pretty big pieces moving too, like Klingberg. I'd be curious to see what they end up doing with Klingberg, because I know there was rumors even going into last season that they were going to try to trade him. But that never ended up happening at trade deadline or whatever, because, by the way, did I mention that Dallas did make it into the playoffs too? Yeah, the Central Division is going to be a dogfight again this year, I have a feeling. But I digress. So, then we go to St. Louis on October 4th. That's all I got to say there. Again, that series this year, that series this year is going to be something interesting to watch because of, well, the playoff series last year, Spurgeon doing what he did, the Blues actually surprising, I guess. Even though that's not really surprising because they literally did win the Stanley Cup in 2019 and most of the core is still intact, but they still have a few pieces too that, well, we don't know about. Yeah. Vlad Tarasenko is probably the biggest one there. And, so we'll wait and see. And then on Thursday, August 6th, we host the Chicago Blackhawks. And then Saturday, October 8th, we host the Dallas Stars. So the preseason schedule again goes as follows. Sunday, September 25th, at home against Colorado. And then 3 straight road games. The 27th at Colorado, the 29th at Dallas, and October 4th at St. Louis, before coming back home for the final 2 games against Chicago and Dallas. Now, again, those are just preseason games, but it'll be curious. I'll be interested to see, again, like our prospects, our younger guys who gets, basically who gets sent where, what surprises come out of the woodwork, and all that stuff. It's always fun watching the younger guys sort of get NHL experience, even if it is only preseason. Kind of get like some of the roster spots and all that stuff. But now, on to the meat and potatoes. The regular season starting in October. So on the 13th of October, for the first time it feels like in a long time, we open the regular season at home against the New York Rangers. Another team that is going to be interesting to watch because they made a deep run last year and gave Tampa all they could handle. All they could handle. So this is not going to be easy. It's just, they're a well-rounded team. Igor Shesterkin stood on his head. Artemi Panarin, Mika Zibanejad, Adam Fox. They've got some studs on that team. So, again, our season opener is at home October 13th against the New York Rangers. And then on Saturday the 15th, we get to take on Kevin Fiala and the Los Angeles Kings. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We get to see Fiala back home pretty much right away. So, it'll be interesting to see here because, again, LA also happened to make the playoffs last year. And, it was a wild series between them and Edmonton. So, again, Fiala, Kopitar, Dustin Brown is retired. Jonathan Quick might still be in it. I'm not 100% sure yet. And they have some decent depth and a lot of young pups, including Quentin Byfield, which coming into year 2, that'll be really interesting to see. And then the next game will be the 17th of October at home against Colorado, I believe. And, whew, wow. You want to talk about a start of the season. Holy crap, that's 3 tough teams right there. And, well, like I said before, Colorado coming off their Stanley Cup championship. Do I really need to say more? We all know how loaded that team is. It's just, can they get some steadier goaltending? So thankfully they're, a pretty big offensive team that can also play big, physical, and, well, girthy. Anyway, but I digress. And then on the 20th, we take on Vancouver at home. So Brock Besser, Bruce Boudreau, and the boys are coming back into town. I mean, a team that's interesting, to say the least. Because, they're going through their own stuff. There might be a lot of players that don't, We'll see. Yeah, I mean, we'll just see what happens with Vancouver. Because I have a feeling they're getting close to being like contenders and stuff like that, but they're still a little ways away. And then for the rest of the month, this is going to suck, but I'd much rather have this happen now than at the end of the year. October 22nd, we go to Boston. On my birthday, October 25th, at Montreal. October 27th, at Ottawa. Saturday the 29th, at Detroit. And then the last game of October will be at Chicago. So, 4 road games to end the year. Boston, they're going through a retool, a change themselves after firing Bruce Cassidy. Will Pasta be there? Marchand, not, will he be healthy? Will Bergeron be back? Taylor Hall, those guys. What's going to happen there? Montreal, again, they're rebuilding themselves after, that unexpected Stanley Cup run in 2020. But they still have a few pieces to kind of keep an eye on. Carey Price, this, that, and the other thing. Ottawa, a team, in my opinion, we probably should have beat in Ottawa. But again, Brady Tkachuk and the boys, Eugene Melnyk passing away and all that stuff. What's going to happen with the Ottawa Senators and all that stuff? And again, they're a sneaky, decent team too. I mean, I wouldn't say they're a threat out of the East or anything like that, but they're definitely not a pushover team anymore. They're finally getting better here. Detroit, whoo boy, that's going to be a fun series to watch, especially how the last game in Detroit ended. I mean, that was a drag 'em out, slug 'em out. In my opinion, that might have been one of the best regular season games the Wild played last year, just from an entertainment standpoint. And again, Chicago. Need I say more? So, but yeah, that's basically the month of October. 4 home games to start, and then the last 5 road games are, 5 road games. So, again, thankfully, that's at the beginning of the year, so we don't really have to worry about that. And then our first full month, November 1st and November 3rd, we're at home. So, November 1st, we're at home against Montreal, a team that we literally played a week earlier. And then we're at home against Seattle for the first time. And again, well, Seattle, expansion team, this, that, and the other thing, they'll be getting better. They'll have some better players. They'll have some, new continuity and all that stuff. So, yeah, I mean, it'll be a fun game to watch. Not to mention, in my opinion, some of the best uniforms in the NHL. And then, on November 8th and November 9th is a back-to-back as part of the West Coast road trip. So we go to LA on the 8th, and then we go to Anaheim on the 9th. And again, LA, as I mentioned before, Fiala and those guys. And then Anaheim, first year without Ryan Getzlaf as their captain. That's going to be a team that's going through rebuilding and, retooling and stuff like that. Then we go to Seattle. So the 8th at LA, the 9th at Anaheim, and the 11th in Seattle. before coming back home for a quick Sunday game against the San Jose Sharks. Another team that's going to be intriguing to watch, as they start going through their changes and rebuilding and retooling and all that stuff. So, again, it'll be interesting to see there because they always play us kind of tough too. And then November 15th, we go to Nashville. Oh boy, do I need to mention how much I really, really, really want to beat Nashville just because we couldn't seem to beat them if our life freaking depended on it last year? Like, again, not taking anything away from Nashville here. They're a good team. They're a solid team. But it's like no matter what we did, they got into our skin and we couldn't stop them. Like, Roman Josi killed us. Matt Duchene looked really good. I mean, UC Saros. Like, I mean, they were just a thorn in our side last year. I mean, I don't think I have to really go into much more detail about that. But yeah, so November 15th at Nashville. And then we come back home for the rest of the month. So, the 17th, we take on the Pittsburgh Penguins. An aging team that's bringing back a lot of their core. Crosby, Malkin, and Letang and those guys. Zucker comes back as well. Well, hopefully he'll be... I don't know. He's had a lot of injury issues since we traded him to Pittsburgh. But it is what it is. It's kind of a physical sport. I don't know if you know anything about hockey. But I digress. Then, November 19th, against Carolina. A team that, is another powerhouse in the East. I don't think I need to tell you that. Nino Niederreiter and those guys. Jordan Staal, who I think will probably be back. Their goaltending situation, which is still fluid as all get out. Like, I seems like they just pretty much pick up a goaltender and like, here. So... I mean, it's worked. Freddie Anderson did come back to a little bit of form last year, so. And then, on November 23rd, we take on the Winnipeg Jets. A team that's going to look probably very different than last time we played them. I mean, at this point, it sounds like it's going to be a fire sale up there in Winnipeg. Like, anyone is up for grabs, basically. Pierre-Luc Dubois is a name that I've been hearing a lot of. Blake Wheeler could even be available. Their captain. I mean, new regime, new staff. It'll be interesting to see. And then November 25th, we take on the Maple Leafs. Yeah, another exciting team that, Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, John Tavares. I mean, that line in and of itself is a name that brings a lot of feelings for, lack of a better term. Plus, it's the Toronto Maple Leafs, a team that anyone likes to beat. It's kind of like when you beat the Yankees, Red Sox, Cowboys, Packers, Lakers, Celtics, that sort of thing. And then the last game of November is the Arizona Coyotes, and good God, is that... Poor, fans of the Coyotes. I mean, that organization has been a laughingstock for the better part of 15, if not 20 plus years at this point. They're literally going to be sharing a venue with Arizona State. And, I mean, last I heard, there were rumors that they were building, a stadium near Tempe and stuff like that, but... who knows? So, yeah, like I say, and then in the month of November, we have 8 home games to 4 road games. So, kind of the opposite of October, where we have more home games than road games. And then December, the last month of 2022, we take on Edmonton at home on December 1st, and then we take on Anaheim at home on December 3rd before we travel to Dallas on the 4th. So we have a back-to-back. So, like I say, that's Edmonton at home on the 1st, which Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and the boys. I mean, do I need to really go any further? Remember that series, the Battle of Alberta playoff series, which literally had like 15 goals apiece because, well, I'm pretty sure I could have played goaltender better. It was exciting as hell, don't get me wrong there, but wow. So yeah, I think it's safe to say Edmonton could be a force again. If they can just get the proper staffing and the proper goaltending and stuff like that and not rely on guys that are literally past their prime. But I digress. And then Dallas, again, like I said earlier, John Klingberg, their goalie situation, and all that stuff. So it'll be interesting to watch them, too, because that's another team that can go back and forth between, us beating them and them beating us. And, is it an easy game, hard? Dallas is another one of those teams, kind of like Nashville, where they're more of a thorn in our side than I'd like to, admit. But again, that's just division games. And then December 7th, we go to Calgary, a team that basically mopped the ever-loving floor with us last year. And, yeah. I don't think I have to go into there. Tkachuk, Johnny Hockey might not be there. Daryl Sutter, Jacob Markstrom, Lucic, guys like that. I'll be curious to see here what ends up happening with Calgary. Because, again, they were a strong team, but kind of got bounced early, in that. Anyway. Again, it'll be interesting to see. Then we go to Edmonton on the 9th, to Vancouver on the 10th, and then we're at home on the 12th against Edmonton. So, literally, after we leave Dallas, we're in Canada for the next 3 games. Like I say, in Calgary, in Edmonton, and in Vancouver before coming back home against Edmonton on the 12th. And then the 14th, we host Detroit. The 16th, we host Chicago. The 18th, we host Ottawa. And then the 21st and 22nd is a mini California road trip where we go back to Anaheim and we go to San Jose. So, yeah, there's a lot of games that are kind of condensed there. It seems like it's almost an every other thing for the most part in there before the holiday break. So our last game is at San Jose before Christmas. And then we go to Winnipeg on the 27th, at home against Dallas on the 29th, and then New Year's Eve is in St. Louis, with the time to still be determined. So in the month of December, we have 7 home games to 8 road games. So all in all, a pretty balanced month, all things considered. And, yeah, I mean, I kind of like seeing that, But again, yeah, I mean, so that basically wraps up October, November, and December. So the 2022 part of the schedule, which, honestly, there's going to be some good teams sprinkled in there, and there's going to be some difficult teams sprinkled in there. So, we'll just see what the Wild end up doing. And if we can get off to a really hot start, constantly having good goaltending, get the pucks through, into the nets, play some solid defense and all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. So then our first game of 2023 in the month of January will be January 4th at home against Tampa Bay. Don't think I have to go into explaining, Tampa Bay. I mean, they're literally, a 2-time Stanley Cup champion. Gave it their all this year as well. I mean, that team's going to be kind of interesting to watch. And by the way, if you want your team to lose in the Stanley Cup final, take on Corey Perry. Because holy crap, that guy. I mean, you want to talk about an unlucky guy. Dallas during the bubble. Montreal during that miraculous run that no one thought And then, ironically enough, he goes to the team that beat him twice and then loses to Colorado. Oh, boy, yeah. Sports and that stuff can be a very fickle thing. It's both hilarious and painful at the same time. But I digress. So, yeah, as I said, the first game of 2023 will be at home against Tampa Bay. And then the next game, we go to Buffalo on January 7th. A team that beat us at their place. Granted, I will say, though, there's no slander from me with Buffalo and stuff like that, just because, well, you want to talk about another franchise that's been through hell and back. I mean, I'm just glad to see that team's finally turning it around and, getting some key contributors, basically. Yeah. And that whole Jack Eichel saga is finally in the rearview mirror. They finally have a solid foundation with Krebs and Tuch, being the two mains. Jeff Skinner had a bounce back here. It's just, now can their goaltending stay healthy? I mean, good God, I'm pretty sure half their goaltenders were out by the end of January last year. Like out for the season. They've gone through a lot of goalies last year. Even though it was kind of cool, like the last regular season game of the year, Malcolm Subban singing the Star Spangled Banner. I like that. That was awesome. And then, on January 8th, we take on St. Louis at home. Again, St. Louis, the playoffs from last year. Kind of sprinkle that in, I don't know if that'll be a revenge game, but all I can say is, let's... If they want to dance, we'll dance, baby. I'm excited for that series. I'm so excited for that series, dude. Again, the NHL, the West Conference, the Central Division, it's not an easy division. Did I mention that 5 or 6 of our teams last year made it into the playoffs? Including the number 1 seed? And literally won the Stanley Cup? But I digress. And then we go to the Big Apple and Long Island. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. January 10th, we go to the Rangers. And then January 12th, we go to Long Island. And again, the Islanders, it'll be, with the Barry Trotz firing, Matt Barzal, Lou Lamoriello, I don't really know what's going on there, or what happened, or whatever the case might be, but it'll be interesting to see there. If they bounce back this year, or if this is just sort of like another retooling or rebuilding stint, I guess. And then, again, we host Arizona on the 14th. Before another 3-game road trip. January 17th, we're in D.C. to take on the Capitals. Then we go to Carolina, and then we're at Florida. Another 3 meat-grinding games right there. Because we go to Washington with Ovechkin, Tom Wilson, TJ Oshie, Orlov, and those guys. They have a pretty good squad. And not to mention, though, the age thing might be an issue. They are getting older, obviously. But they can still get it done. And, again, Alexander Ovechkin is kind of chasing history at this point, and he legitimately has a shot at it, too, which is crazy. And then we go to Carolina, and then Florida. That's going to be an interesting team to watch because you thought the Wild went, all in. Woo-hoo! Yikes. Florida's probably even the bigger disappointment over the Wild because they got swept by Tampa and they had a loaded team. So it'll be interesting to see how many of those players, come back, like Barkov, Huberdeau. Is Giroux going to still be a Panther? Bobrovsky, their new head coach, they got rid of Brunette. I can't remember exactly who's now coaching for him, but anyway. So, be interesting to see there. And then January 24th, we go to Tampa Bay. And then on January 26th and January 28th, we're at home. So January 26th, we're at home against Philly, and that team's going to be a potential. Woo-hoo! Yikes. On the bright side, though, we might actually get to see some more Torts spicy comments again, which, yeah, that's going to be fun to watch. At least for the first, 5 or 6 times, and then Torts is one of those coaches that you kind of want to sort of kick your team in the ass to get them going. But if you leave them around too long, but I digress. And then we host Buffalo on the 28th. So the month of January, we have 5 home games and 7 road games. So again, another lightish month overall. And then February, our first game isn't until the 6th, because that's All-Star Weekend and all that stuff, kind of around there. And we go to Arizona, and then on the 8th, we go to Dallas. So yeah, it'll be our first time going to Arizona's, Arizona State's arena, basically. And then going to Dallas. And then we have a pretty long home stretch after this. So get this. We have a back-to-back. After Dallas, we come back home to take on Vegas. And that's going to be an intriguing team to watch, because they might finally have, hit the end of their road. Or hit the end of the rope, or whatever you want to say. Granted, I know injuries and all that stuff didn't help, but can't say I necessarily feel bad for Vegas anymore. I mean, they kind of burnt out their welcome, I guess. Again, I'm not really going to get much more into that. And then we're at home against the Devils. And that's going to be another intriguing team to watch, because, again, a young team, up-and-coming team. We had a couple good battles with the Devils last year. Jack Hughes, PK Subban, Quinn Hughes, maybe even, well, I don't know. No, Quinn, I think, is still up in Vancouver. Anyway, like I say, they have, 2 of the Hughes brothers, They have a lot of young talent, and Nico Hischier and those guys, too, so. Well, who knows? Quinn Hughes might end up in, depending on how Vancouver goes, but I digress here. So, yeah. And then, February 13th is Florida. And then the 15th, we take on Colorado. The 17th, we take on Dallas. The 19th, we take on Nashville. And the 21st, we take on the Kings at home again. So that's right, ladies and gentlemen. That makes 7 straight home games from February 9th through February 21st before a quick 2-stint road series against Columbus and at Toronto on the 23rd and 24th. And then the 26th, we take on Columbus at home. So yeah, Columbus is another one of those teams too that'll be interesting to watch, because another team that's sort of going through their lumps and they're rebuilding, and Patrick Laine, will he stay, will he go, this, that, and the other thing. And then again, the last day of February, the 28th, we host the Islanders. So yeah, like I say, in the month of February, we have 4 road games and 9 home games. So that'll be kind of nice, February in Minnesota, it'll be, granted they all play inside, but still, home ice advantage, push for the playoffs. And then March gets interesting, because, March 2nd we go to Vancouver. March 4th we're at Calgary. March 7th we're at home against Calgary. And then on the 8th we go to Winnipeg. So yeah, at Vancouver, at Calgary, home against Calgary, at Winnipeg. And then we go to San Jose and to Arizona on back-to-backs on Saturday the 11th and Sunday the 12th. And then we go to St. Louis on the 15th. Before having another back-to-back home series against Boston on the 18th and Washington on the 19th. Then we go to New Jersey on the 21st, go to Philly on the 23rd, at home against Chicago on the 25th, at home against Seattle on the 27th, and then the 29th in Colorado. So yeah, that is a very road-heavy end of the year, basically, where we have 9 road games to 5 home games. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Especially with the month of April. On April 1st, we host Vegas. Host Vegas on the 3rd, so Vegas in Vegas and then Vegas at home. At Pittsburgh on the 6th. So yeah, like I say, we're at home on the 3rd against Vegas, in Vegas on the 1st, in Pittsburgh on the 6th, in St. Louis on the 8th, in Chicago on the 10th, at home against Winnipeg on the 11th, and we end the year in Nashville on the 13th. Whew. Alrighty, so you kids still awake here? Damn. Like I say, this is a very long video, but these videos are especially, since Wild play 82 games, and again, it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be very interesting to watch this team moving forward. We'll just wait and see, basically. Because, like I say, the Wild still have to go through the draft, through free agency, kind of see how the teams look. And, I might kind of do more of a breakdown once we get closer to the season. And, yeah, that'll pretty much wrap this up. So, till we meet again, this is Jacob. Have a good day.